broadcasts. There are a few things that I want to highlight. Harish Iyer, who's an activist, is also with us on the show. But whenever the Supreme Court exercises power under Article 145(3), that means it's a matter of importance, constitutional importance, and minimum it should go to 5 judges. What does it do? It also gives a certain degree of finality to the matter because a constitutional principle needs to be settled. As the Supreme Court had earlier taken in a position that in the interest of public and transparency, there has to be live streaming of proceedings. So whenever that hearing begins, issues will be ironed out by lawyers on both the sides, submitted to the court, and the hearing will be live streamed so that citizens across can see it. Ananya will continue to stay with us on the broadcast. Harish Iyer, who's an activist, is also joining us on the show. Harish, good afternoon. Are you keenly watching the developments at the Supreme Court? Your thoughts?
I just hope that history and rather the queer story repeats itself. Just as the case was referred to a constitutional bench, the 377 case was referred to the constitutional bench. The same thing has happened over here. I do hope that, fingers crossed, that I do hope that we have a positive judgment in favor of equal marriage rights for everybody.
Harish, there's a position that the union government has taken. It's not a new position. They had reiterated that position at the Delhi High Court as well. They are opposed to gay marriages in the country. Your thoughts?
I think they have referred. The union government has basically said that marriage should be amongst a biological man and a biological woman. I would like to state that we are everything that exists in nature is biology by itself.
Yeah.
And whether it's love between two men, whether it's love between two women, whether it's about two trans people, all of us are biological beings as well. And it's only a matter of time that even the central government or central government would realize that these thoughts are actually colonial. But acceptance of sexuality, acceptance of diversity in sexuality and gender is actually standing up for the spirit and ethos of India.
Harish, in the spirit of putting forth all the arguments to you so that you're able to put your side of the story, the LGBTQ community, what do they think? Is same-sex marriage against Indian culture? That's what the union government is saying. And many others are arguing that these kind of unions are not recognized or understood as a social and moral institution in our country. It's a union between a man and a woman so that biological children can come to the world.
Yes, as a matter of fact, we have had this culture where women who can't bear children have been ostracized. We have been in a culture where women were burnt to death in terms of, we had something called as sati. We had dowry, which was a part of the system. But all of these things have been thrown to the dustbins of history. And so will our colonial thoughts and colonial mindsets of, this is also a remnant of Section 377. So in the argument of the government when they've defined family as one between biological men and biological women and their child, what do single women and single men have to do? What is my family? As somebody who's from the LGBTQ community, are they trying to tell me that I have no family? We are also born to families and we are in loving relationships. I have the right to a respectable job.
No, I do get it. That culture is a evolving, facet, especially in a dynamic country like India. Before I go back to my colleague Ananya, one last question. Even in judiciary, forget what the governments are saying across the world, this has been a matter that the courts and judiciary have taken up with much vigor. But whether it's at the Delhi High Court or earlier, the fate of the decriminalization of homosexuality in the Supreme Court, it was in a historic move by the Supreme Court that in a curative petition, the earlier judgment was overturned. It has not been easy for the community. How do you see this journey forward?
It's a long journey. Yeah. It is an arduous task. Even after I'm certain that we'll have a positive verdict, cautiously optimistic on that. But even after that, things are not going to change. When love comes out of the closet, hate will come out of the closet too. So there needs to be more awareness. There needs to be more conversations. But with CNN, IBN on our side and media taking a stand and not just sitting on the fence, but taking a stand that they will not tolerate any kind of homophobia, I think we will be in good stead.
I think the country looks forward to a dynamic and an intriguing debate that will spur at the Supreme Court of India. We'll try and continue tracking this story. Thank you, Harish, for joining us on the broadcast and bringing us your perspective. Well, this is what transpired at the Supreme Court of India. There was a split verdict that was given by the Delhi High Court, and now the matter for final adjudication of the Supreme Court of India. Tossing it over to my colleague Ananya, he's getting us some voices.
And further arguments will be taken up post the 18th.
The matter has now been referred to a constitutional bench of this court, which basically and very, very clearly means that the matter would be live streamed. Do you think that it would have a very, very larging impact when the matter is being heard by a constitutional bench?
I think so, and we're very happy that it's being heard by a constitutional bench. We believe this to be a matter of great constitutional significance, and it is wonderful that everybody will be able to see the arguments unfolding live. This is a matter that affects thousands upon thousands of citizens of this country, and I think people will be very interested to see it, and people will be very happy to watch it.
Niharika, 32 hours have been sought by the petitioners to argue this case. What was the bench's reaction, and would 32 hours actually be allowed?
The bench at first inquired into whether so many would be allowed. I would remind you that there are a number of petitions involved here, and that's why collectively an issue of an amount of 32 hours has been given. Of course, not every council arguing for every petition will address every single argument. So, in all likelihood, it might be a little less than that. However, the learned Solicitor General said that everybody should be given a chance to argue everything they have to, as this is a matter of great significance.
So this was Niharika Kranjawala, who was speaking to us just after the Supreme Court referred the matter to a constitutional bench, exercised its power under Article 145(3) of the Constitution of India, and said that the matter is of seminal importance, of a very, very constitutional importance. Is the reason why it has to go before a 5-judge bench. I am Ananya Bhatnagar with video journalist Chintan Dev Puri for CNN News 18 from the Supreme Court of India in the national capital of the country.
Ananya Bhatnagar getting us all the voices. So, how is it that a hearing before a Supreme Court pans out, especially in constitutional matters? While you'd presume that there is not one, two, but there are many petitions before the court. Sometimes the courts are worried that there would be duplicity of arguments. One argument can be made many times, and more importantly, the issues need to be ironed out. So, as and when this matter is put forward before a 5-judge bench, at the very least, 145(3) demands that issues are going to be ironed out, questions are going to be framed. By consulting both the sides, the government as well as the petitioners in this case. And on those particular questions, the hearing will commence. The fear is that it should not spill to over weeks, and many, many hours should not be wasted. Hence, the number of hours the Chief Justice of India and both sides will try to restrict in a certain manner possible. But after the decriminalization of homosexuality for the LGBTQ rights, this hearing is going to be very, very critical. Ananya Bhatnagar continues to be with us on the broadcast. Ananya, let's bring our viewers up to speed with the arguments that have happened on both the sides. When the union government says that it's not just a matter of, culture or, vague, emotional, sentimental arguments, there are some very serious policy questions that need to be addressed when we talk about legalization of same-sex marriages in this country. He spoke of adoption, he spoke of inheritance, and he also spoke of the vague term social fabric and how that's going to be disturbed. What are the key arguments that the union government has made in that very crucial affidavit? Enumerate for us.
Well, definitely, Anusha. First, I'll go with what the Solicitor General actually pointed out to the court today. He was basically pointing out that the social ethos would be affected with this matter. There has to be a discussion in the Parliament on how the social ethos will be. If you remember, when this matter had come before the Delhi High Court for the first time, the Solicitor General, who was appearing for the central government, clearly stated that the matter has to be studied by the Law Commission. All of these personal laws have to be studied, and then only can there be a decision on same-sex marriages being getting a legal recognition or not. And now, since this affidavit has come in, the biggest portion that the affidavit goes on to say is that the legal recognition to same-sex marriages is against the Indian family unit, which includes a biological man, a biological woman and their children. In fact, he also spoke of adoption, inheritance, and he clearly goes on to say that if a person if a child is basically being carried by in fact a lesbian or a gay couple, then there might be some kind of an inheritance issue. There might be some kind of a there could be an issue on their mentality. However, the Chief Justice of India actually countered that submission, clearly saying that how would it do so, but later the central government has also stated